Swadika, welcome to Be My Guest. I'm Chalapan Sadarula. Thank you very much for joining us today. To reduce industrial waste and negative impacts towards the environment, companies are becoming very committed today to find ways to alleviate the problems. We see innovations on recycling and campaigns to inspire people to understand the value of a healthy environment. And today's episode will take a look at a very interesting competition which is called RECO Young Designer Contest 2018. We're very honored to be joined by His Excellency Mr. Kees Rada, Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Thailand. Swadika. Your Excellency, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Now, the Embassy of the Netherlands here in Bangkok is one of the main partners of the RECO Young Designer Competition this year. Tell us a bit about the collaboration. Why did you decide to participate in this event?
Well, it's a pleasure for us to be able to participate in this important event, probably for two main reasons. One is that the creative industry is a very important part of the Dutch economy. It's quite a big sector, actually. I think the annual turnover of the Dutch creative industry is 32 billion euros. So it's architecture, it is music. I'm sure you've heard of Tiesto and Martin Garrix. These are the heroes of the younger generation. Well, they are both Dutch. And we have many architects and so on. So the creative industry sector is very important for us. So that's one reason, and especially also the design sector. And the other reason is, of course, that there is a sustainability dimension to this whole event, which for us is very important. We all know that we have signed up to agreements on climate in Paris recently. And for us, it's very important that we all live up to these agreements we have signed up to. So everything that can stimulate a more sustainable way of producing, that can do something about climate change for the Netherlands is a very important issue. So for these two reasons together, it's a very nice combination. So we are very happy to be able to support this event.
And this is the first time that you're participating?
First time we support it also. And to be honest, I think that Paris was quite important for us to realize the importance of climate change. And so for our government now, this is really a top priority now to do whatever we can to let's say, to improve the sustainability of our economic models. And again, perhaps in the design sector, you would not immediately think of design and sustainability. And that's why it's so interesting to have this combined in this event.
Now, you mentioned about the creative industry, which is an important sector in the Netherlands. What are the trends of this industry back home?
Innovation is absolutely essential. We are a relatively small, what is a big country, but of course we're not one of the major economic powers of this world. And we think that our niche is really, innovation is very important. So we're very much focused on the younger generation, on innovation, and again, combining that with sustainability. Because we also see that being sustainable is important as such, but it can also be very nice, and it can be very, very creative, the way of combining this. So I think this is for us a very important dimension of this sector.
So therefore, from the RECO Young Designer Competition, the winners will be joining one of the biggest events, I believe, in the Netherlands. That's the Dutch Design Week.
Exactly.
Tell us a bit about this event.
Well, it's an annual event. It's a week-long. It's a week. Well, it's not actually an event. It is really, there are hundreds of events taking place during that week. It's in Eindhoven, which is in the south of the Netherlands. It's every year in October, and I think there are about 2,600 designers in all kinds of disciplines coming there, and the public consists of more than 300,000 people come there every year. So it's really it's the major design creative industries event in the Northern Europe. So we are quite happy to have that in the Netherlands, again because we think we can offer a very nice podium to a platform to designers on the one hand and the general public on the other, so that the public can see what actually is being done in the designing world. And we really are very happy to be able to facilitate this, the winners to go to that week, because of course for them it will be a very nice exposure to the newest trends in terms of design and so on, meet people from other countries, and you never know what will come out of it. So we're very excited to be able to facilitate them.
And I understand that the theme generally surrounds sustainable development. Is that correct at the event?
Yes, and actually the sustainability if you do research about the Netherlands and sustainability and design, I mean, there are all kinds of very surprising new companies that came up that are producing interesting stuff, I find. For example, Fruitware. It's a company that makes a leather-like product from the leftovers of fruit. So you would not associate fruit with a leather-like product, but actually they have been able to develop a technique which allows you to make shoes and bags that look like leather, but that have been produced with fruits. There's another company that I find quite inspiring, which is called Mud Jeans. And Mud Jeans, they produce jeans, but 40% of the jeans is produced from recycled products. And if you think that one pair of jeans needs 8,000 liters of water to be produced, so one pair of jeans, 8,000 liters, if you can reduce that amount by reusing products, I think this is quite a very positive thing. And what they also do, they lease jeans. So you buy a pair of jeans, and whenever it's kind of worn, you can exchange it for a new pair of jeans at no cost. So basically, and that the old jeans are being refurbished and so are now being brought back on the market. So that's a very interesting illustration of the concept of circular economy that we're also promoting very much in the Netherlands. Because again, we realize that to diminish the demand on raw materials in this world, we absolutely will have to reuse much more than we do now. And again, to do that in the design sector is quite an interesting approach that we are, again, we have quite some Dutch companies very active in that sector.
And you have a goal to see the circular economy, being comprehensive and complete by the year 2050, is that
Yes,
correct?
that's the intention, although personally I think that to have 100% circular economy is probably quite a challenge, because sometimes you need a new input of raw materials to make a product, but it's certainly the ambition of our government to have a circular economy by 2050 and already to go down 50% by 2030, so that's really quite an ambitious target. And again, this all follows from this realization that we really have to change our mode of production and our mode of consumption, for that matter, because the consumers are also extremely important if we want to have a sustainable world. And again, this event introduces this concept in the design world. And at the same time, the products made are very nice, so I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Now, I'm sure you're working closely with the private sector in order to see that happen, but consumers, they play an important part as well. So how has the Netherlands been doing in terms of raising awareness, for people to be really environmentally friendly, to reduce garbage and waste, spread the concept on a broader base? Yeah.
Well, first of all, you said correctly that we work also with the private sector, and we very much do this with Indorama, which of course for us is a very important counterpart. They're the biggest Thai investors in the Netherlands, and I visited their production facility in the port of Rotterdam, and where they produce PET products, and was quite I must admit I didn't understand all the technical dimensions, but it was quite interesting to visit. And on the consumers, well, we're doing a lot in terms of educating them by explaining to them what certain processes mean in terms of use of raw materials. As I said, this example of the jeans, and when you explain that to people, and it's also about consuming meat, and there are many other examples where when you tell the consumer what it actually means, their way of consumption, people are willing to change their behavior. Having said it, I have to admit that also the public sector, the government, once in a while has a role to play, so sometimes an important role. Just to give you one example, plastic bags, which also in Thailand I noticed this, especially since the whale story that was quite published in the Netherlands as well. It was really in the Dutch newspapers with a picture of all the plastic bags they found in the stomach of the whale. But what happened in the Netherlands is that the government decided to impose a price on a plastic bag. Very small amount, like 5 euro cents, which is really very, very little amount of money. But that helped to make people realize that actually, yes, a plastic bag, it's not for free, there is a cost. So, and then the use of plastic bags went down by 80% after this very little money that was put on it, and it has such a tremendous impact on the pollution issue. So The public sector also has an educational responsibility, I think, but ultimately private sector and consumers together have to
work together.
Have to work together
In order to see that happen.
Absolutely.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for
Pleasure.
joining the program today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now take a short break. Don't go away just yet. Be My Guest will return with more about the RECO Young Designer Competition. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Be My Guest, and now we're with Mr. Richard Jones, the Senior Vice President of Indorama Ventures and also host of the RECO Young Designer Competition. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
To begin with, tell us a bit about Indorama and of course the event itself, the main idea behind hosting such an interesting competition.
Well, Indorama Ventures started out and still makes today plastic pellets used in common things like drinks bottles, sandwich boxes and things like this. What people didn't understand when we first started making it was that PET is very easy to recycle. We then started setting up our own recycling factories. We have one in Thailand at Nakhon Pathom. We have a couple in Europe. We have USA, Mexico. And what we've discovered is that now it's becoming a much more important story, and Indorama Ventures wanted to play its part. We started the Young Designers Competition really as far back as 2011 with the intention of showing people that you can actually make very beautiful things from old plastic bottles. You can make clothing, but you can also make lamps and other household things from recycled plastic, and you can't really even tell that they're made from recycled plastic. So we wanted to encourage Thai people to actually understand that PET plastic is not something that you should throw away without thinking first. You really need to separate it and put it in the right place. We are then very happy to recycle it for you.
So the core concept would be managing waste.
Yes, it is.
Reduce, recycle.
We have to understand that everybody has a role to play. The manufacturers have a role to play, but to create a circular economy, you really do need consumers to be involved heavily because they are the beginning. They buy the bottles, they drink the liquid, and then what do they do with it after that? That's where we want to influence them.
So how successful have you been in actually raising the social awareness that people should value a healthy environment through the campaign, to the project that has been organized for the past 6 years now?
Yes.
How successful have you been?
Well, the fact is that people keep asking, can they get an invitation to the final? So I guess that it is becoming more well known. And I don't have a problem with convincing people that it is a good thing. So the issue has become like more and more convincing now that you know you have to do it. So what we found after doing this for 6 years, more and more people know about it. Certainly the media are very interested in helping us a lot. And then we find that suddenly we find embassies like the Dutch embassy, which has very graciously allowed us to use their premises for the next final. So we're finding that a lot of people are actually very aware now of the need, but it's not everybody yet. So we need to get more people aware of the need that they don't have to do the recycling, they can reuse a bottle. Many people don't understand that if you leave a PET bottle in the car with water, there is no danger, there is no chemical that leaches into the water. The bottle will melt at 240 degrees Celsius, so the driver will melt before the bottle does.
And my mom keeps telling me that. Don't put the bottle in the car.
It's a myth. It's completely wrong. There's no chemical in the plastic that can go into the water, so it's perfectly safe. It's even you can refill it, put it into the refrigerator. The cool doesn't do anything to it at all. So you can actually reuse the bottles. That we want to encourage people to understand that you don't have to just drink and throw. You can drink and refill if you think that's better.
So in giving this knowledge and educating the people, you do actually have programs through your CSR.
Yes, we do. We often go out and we're very focused on teaching children first. We find that when you teach children, then the future generation will solve that problem for you. So we've made videos, we've made cartoon books, and we have people that go out and visit schools. In Rayong today, we've built cages next to schools where children can collect plastic bottles, put them in there, and they will be paid by the kilo. And we found that that's very successful, so successful, the number of plastic bottles in that area has decreased, which is pity for the children who were hoping to get a lot of money. But at the same time, it shows that by talking to the kids first and getting them to play a part, what I want to see a father drinking and throwing a bottle and the child tapping him on the shoulder and saying, "Father, you forgot the bottle." Once I get to that stage, I know that I'm successful.
Well, let's see that happen soon.
Yes.
Now, the trends of PET recycling at the global level. Tell us a bit about the trends that we're seeing currently, including in Thailand as well.
Well, one thing is that a lot of the drinks companies now who are our major customers are having these targets that they want to recycle and they want to get these bottles made again from recycled PET. So it's generally, on a global basis, most of the Western countries allow you to recycle plastic and make a new bottle or a new package. And what we're looking for is, will Thailand eventually allow that to happen? It's not allowed today, but we think that eventually the government has to realize that recycling old bottles into new bottles is perfectly acceptable everywhere in the world today. And there are maybe some changes that need to be made to allow people to do this. But once it happens, then you'll get this circular economy forming. So Europe generally, I think there are 9 European countries where they forbid landfills, for example, completely, and they manage to recycle about 95% of all the bottles that they get. So in certain countries where they said, we won't allow you to put it into the ground, but we will recycle it, then it's very, very successful. And we see that coming to Asia over time. It's just a case of convincing people, convincing the public sector that this is a good thing. You want to get rid of the trash, you want to get rid of the plastic. We in the PET industry are perfectly happy to do that, but you have to make the law amenable for us to be able to do it.
Well, I guess we'll have to tell the government that this is what the world is doing, and perhaps we'll move towards that direction. As for Indorama itself, you're playing your part, and I believe that many of your products do go on the sustainability initiative. Ecorama is one of your brands. Is this the answer to reuse?
That is a good question, because actually I would say most of the PET plastic which is recycled in the world is made into fibers. And we make a fiber in Thailand that we call Ecorama. It's made from bottles. And the fact is that I doubt whether anyone would ever be able to tell that it's made from bottles, because when you see it, when you touch it, when you feel it, it just feels like a sports shirt. And if I could just show you this is actually made from 5 plastic bottles made with Ecorama fiber. And this would be typically used in sportswear very often, but actually they have different grades so that you can make anything from it, like jackets. And we've also, in the company, we buy these from somebody. These are actually made from plastic bottles. And they are wonderful pens. They write very well. And it's a policy in our company that all our staff use these recycled pens. So we see that Indorama is willing to recycle. We have in Nakhon Pathom this plant that makes Ecorama fiber. This goes out to countries all around Asia and elsewhere. But even though we make recycled PET for drinking bottles, today we are forced to export all of it. We can't use it in Thailand, unfortunately.
All right, we'll now take a short break. Coming up next, we'll take a look at some of the highlights that'll be happening at the RECO Young Designer Competition 2018. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Be My Guest. We'll now take a look at the RECO Young Designer Competition 2018 with the theme Eco Heart. Tell us a bit about the highlights this year.
Well, this is one of the most interesting that we've ever done, because, well, obviously we're holding it in the Dutch Embassy for the first time, which is fantastic for us. But also we're looking at how to promote these young people who are our designers and help them to develop their skills over time. So this is the first year where, with the help of the Embassy of the Netherlands in Thailand, we've actually been told that we can send the winner to the Netherlands to visit the design week that they have there. And I think this will be thrilling for any student who really wants to be a professional designer in the future. So essentially, this is wonderful for the kids. I mean, they will really want to win the first prize. And that means they have to be held to an extremely high professional standard. No playing around, they have to be professional when they deliver their products to us.
So who can participate in this program?
Well, generally they are people who are at university level. We're up to the age of about 34, I think. So that means we don't want to have professionals join. We want to have essentially amateurs doing it, but people who are really keen to be professional designers in the future. So I would say the majority usually would be university students or college students at design schools, for example, or design faculties. And these are the ones that seem to be most interested in this.
So they wouldn't have to have a background on PET plastic or anything?
No, we actually
just
have
a heart for design.
Courses. We will give workshops and we will explain, because it's a plastic. Plastic means that you can bend it into different shapes, so you can cut it into strips. So we'll have workshops for them explaining how you can use it. We usually brief them and tell them how it can be made into different shapes and things by using temperatures. And then by the time we finish the workshops, they have a very good idea about how they can utilize it. We also provide some Ecorama fabric for them, because we insist that 60% of the products be made from recycled materials, but that does include also the fact that we give them some recycled fabric that they can use. So they generally can color it, they can dye it, they can do anything they want with it. But we want to know that at least 60% of the design is using recycled materials. Very important.
And there will be big names from the fashion industry to come and guide, to share their knowledge.
Yes, we'll have some very, very important gurus coming to help the students. And this is one of the interesting things, is that these students will probably never meet these gurus otherwise. They would never get a chance to sit with people who have years of experience in the fashion and design industry. And this will open up their world a lot more than they could have hoped if they were in a college all their lives. But this really expands their experience, I think.
I heard that the 7th edition of the competition will be pretty challenging on creativity.
Yes.
What are the judges looking for this year?
Well, the judges are generally looking for originality. You know, these judges are so good that if you even try to copy somebody's design, they will spot it immediately. So what we're looking for are people who have original ideas, who have a flair for fashion, who are basically trying to show us all that what they are making is absolutely beautiful. And we'll be putting a lot of emphasis on the fact that they have to look good. We're actually hiring professional models to wear these things on the catwalk. So they have to look really good. So we're looking for people who are original and have a flair for fashion, essentially.
So it's going to be much tougher than the competition in the year before.
I think it will be, yes.
Now, as for the prize, how big are the prizes this year?
Well, I think the important thing that everyone would like to know is the first prize, which is 100,000 baht in cash, which I think everyone will vie for. But then it's this free trip to the Netherlands to see the Design Week at the Netherlands, which is a very big event every year. And we've always dreamt about doing this, but we've never actually got it done in the past. And thankfully, the embassy came to us and said, what a great idea, let's help you. So the nice thing is that the winner will be able to go to Europe, probably for the first time in their lives, see what professional designers are doing in Europe, and hopefully that will stimulate them to come back and take their skill to the next level.
So before that happens, here at the embassy, the Netherlands embassy in Bangkok, it's going to be turned into a fashion catwalk?
This is going to be suddenly an Amsterdam fashion catwalk.
And when's that going to happen?
Oh, that will be in August. What we're looking for now is how to set the place out and make it look really appropriate, and hopefully the guest list will include some very well-known designers and professors from design colleges, so that the students feel that they're being judged with a critical eye.
So this will be another interesting platform for winners, participants to actually advance their career
Yes.
in designing products and perhaps develop something useful for the pet industry as well.
Correct. We want, actually it's for society, let's put it that way, because what we want is for these people to go out in their future career and say, well, this type of material is acceptable, I can make something very good from it, and then inspire others. We have some previous winners who continuously come to the final because they like to see what other people are doing as well.
Oh.
Yes.
And that's it, they just come to the final
They come
and
to
they're
the final
happy.
just to have a
Good
look
enough.
and see what other people are doing, because they want to be stimulated as well, you see. So all of these people, they're looking at a professional design career in the future, and they want to see what other professionals are doing. Now, the RECO Young Designer Competition actually allows people to see what the next generation of professional designers in Thailand will look like. And I think what I've seen over the last few years is that the quality, the standards have risen to such a level. I would fully expect to see a Thai designer in Amsterdam, in Paris, in New York, showing off their products one day. And we want to encourage that.
And they will have all of our support. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Khun
very
Richard.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
RECO Young Designer Competition is a great platform for people to present new ideas and designs and concepts to realize the value of recycling. So if you have an eco heart, do not miss the fun. And that's it for today's edition of Be My Guest. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope to see you next time. I'm Chalapansar Navrula. Swadee ka.